What's up, guys? My name is Khan and we're back today with more Scrap Mechanic, and today we're going to look at a really cool gearing mechanism. The gear train kind of got me really missing old school Scrap Mechanic projects, and not so much like building aesthetic looking things, because I always find that tedious and frustrating, but rather cool looking mechanisms. And one of the last things we did was playing around with some of these gears. Now these gears are from the ACL Gears Retextured mod, and there's two sizes of them, and I've used these before to build cool things in Scrap Mechanic, but unfortunately I actually don't have those blueprints anymore. I thought I did, and then yeah, I switched computers and I don't have the blueprints for any of my cool gear stuff. But I do have the old blueprints for this open differential, which was made completely in a vanilla. And today I want to build something kind of like a differential. It can be used as a differential, but really I want to build a planetary gear system. So this is an open differential, very different. And basically, we deliver power to the blue gear, which in turn drives the yellow gear, and that yellow gear in the middle is actually free-floating, which powers those two gray gear pipe pieces, which spins the wheels. This is, you know, an open differential, so if we put a little bit of weight on this wheel or something that blocks the movement, all the power will go to the one wheel and not to the other. Same as we reverse direction. You know, it'll deliver power to both wheels until it gets blocked, and then it only delivers power to the one, as you can see. This is a similar mechanism to what your car would use, except of course your car would have a limited slip differential, something that, you know, actually has a little bit of a slip before. This is completely open, which means that center gear has no resistance, so as soon as one path it has any sort of change in force compared to the other, it'll deliver more force. You can see that wheel's stuck, right? So as soon as one path is blocked, that gear in the middle orbits. But this is a really cool mechanism, and of course super exciting that it works in Scrap Mechanic Vanilla. So the mechanism I want to build today is a planetary gear system, and the coolest thing about a planetary gear system is depending on which one of the shafts you rotate can determine what happens at the other shaft, and you can do forward and reverse with the same set of gears, and you can just do really a lot of cool stuff. So I'm going to show a picture on the screen of what a planetary gear system is. Basically, it's got four components. We have a center sun gear, which then drives a number of planet gears. It doesn't have to be 3. We'll probably do it with 4 because it'll make more sense for Scrap Mechanic physics. But it's a sun gear in the middle driving the planet gears, which are attached to a carrier that rotates independently of the sun gear. The sun gear is attached to one shaft, the carrier attaches to the planet gears on the other shaft, and then the ring gear attaches to a third thing entirely. Now, in this, it says the ring gear is stationary. I'm actually going to make the ring gear rotate. You can have the ring gear with teeth on the inside and outside, and you can have the ring gear rotate in some situations. And if this works, which I'm hoping it will, there'll be a lot of really cool things that come out of it that we can do with it. So we can either rotate the ring gear, rotate the sun gear, and, you know, you can see what happens to the carrier as a result of those two movements. It's really cool stuff. I'm hoping we get it to work, but we're going to do it in vanilla. As much as I like these gears, they have a really good hitbox for collision, and they work really well as gears. I think in order to get especially the big ring gear around the outside, I think we're going to have to do something with, you know, some small pipes, and it might have some skips, kind of like this one does, but hopefully we can get the movements accurate enough. Now, I think for this, we're going to do them all out of the same size, just with small pipes to make life easier. So we're going to put a bearing here. There's going to be some weird stuff that happens with pistons and all that, just to basically allow us to have mounting points for drive shafts. For example, here we're going to do just a piston connection point. So we can just do something like this. Look at that. Right? The piston works through, and basically this piston makes sure that this bearing rotates as the same as this bearing. It's kind of like putting a center drive shaft through a hole in Scrap Mechanic, but now we can, of course, mount this concrete to a rigid member. So I did that a bunch with the gear train as well. Helps keep things attached, and obviously we're going to do it here. So then we're going to build a sun gear, which will be this 4-piece guy like this. I'm using the curved pieces just because they kind of have a nicer hitbox. They make for pretty decent gears. So we're gonna make this one yellow because it's the sun gear, and then we will put a bearing on this. Now this bearing is free floating. It's just gonna be there to hold the carrier in place. It's not actually going to provide any power, and the carrier, we're going to have it extend out from the center like this, right? So this would be our carrier shaft, and then we need to put a gear on each of these. So we need to have this come forward like that, and like this. And of course, to place these gears, we're just gonna do a little controller trick because they'll obviously be in collision with each other. But here we go, something like this. And of course, we'll put a bearing on the end of each of these. So these will be our 4 planets orbiting our 1 sun, and everything will be a 4-tooth gear. And hopefully it works. I don't think it'll be too big a deal. We could probably do this, honestly, with 2 planets. I think 2 is going to be better on the old frame rate once we get this thing all fully assembled. All right, and then we just got to let them rotate, put that last tooth down. I can already see we have a meshing problem. Oh no, I think they're okay. Okay, so now, theoretically, if we make this into a big stand, let's just do that real quick. So let's extend this out. Whatever, not a big deal. Right, something like that, perfect. Okay, and then if we take an electric motor and we rotate the initial piece, the sun gear. Okay. All right, well, for now, we're gonna try it like this. If it doesn't work, we'll just have to rebuild it and redesign it with a bigger gear in the middle. I think it should be fine. I mean, in terms of the physics, as long as the gears mesh, we shouldn't have an issue. Now, what we gotta do, it's gonna be a little difficult. We gotta make a sun gear that rotates about this center pivot point as well, but isn't attached to either of these 2. I almost need this piston thing to come through and have another point where I can attach. So we need basically you need a gear this. So this is one output here. This would be 1 shaft like that, right? Which we could attach to stuff. And this would be the other. And now we need a sun gear that's mounted to this same rotation point, but isn't mounted to either of these shafts. All right, so this will be, again, one of the shaft outputs, which we could control like that. We have another shaft output over here. Hopefully this will work. Perfect. And let's paint this one yellow. I'm just trying to paint them so that it's easy to, you know, keep track of what belongs to what part. And then what we gotta do is actually drag that down like that. Perfect. Whoops. And just make an opening like that. And theoretically, if we bring this down a little bit further, our suspension piece is just completely inside that. There we go. And now we can cut a hole in this. And that shaft should still rotate. Excellent. And now we can put a mount point in here for a ring gear system. So we can have something, keep that one orange actually. And we can have something mounted in there that spins and, wait, how, yeah. And it's just gonna be attached to the outsides and it'll work perfect. So now we need a ring gear, which I don't know how we're gonna do this. To be honest, we don't actually need this extra shaft anymore. I lied. There we go, we can just attach that like that, perfect. All right, so we need a ring gear that is the same outer diameter as this. Let's take this piece out further. Hold on a minute, it's gonna interfere. The pegs are gonna interfere with this nonsense. Well, let's just, that might be an issue. Yeah, if we rotate, pegs are gonna have to clip through here. We're gonna need some sort of a no clip zone in there as well. Or we just have this mounted to the front of the gear, which we could honestly do. Yeah, we could have that mounted to the front. Okay. This is all gonna make sense. Don't worry, I'm just talking to myself. It's a normal thing. So if we take this ring, and we put it right here, right? That's a free-floating bearing, but it doesn't matter. The gear will offer the support for it. So this piece here, we'll paint this one orange, whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah, ignore all this. It's all garbage. Okay, this actually might work here. So the ring gear is mounted to that. We need a hole here to put, I guess, just a single, no, it needs to be a suspension piece still to go through. Small suspension will work though, like that. This gear mounts to that still, right? Like so, and then this mounts to there. This is actually still the drive input from the sun gear. And that'll come through like that, perfect, and goes out into a drive shaft. So hopefully we can still rotate the parts independently. We'll do a quick check here. Okay, so there we go. We can spin that, and you can see it doesn't spin any of the other shafts. And in the same sense, we can spin this one, and it spins completely independently of the wood. You can see we can have this wood spinning one way, and this yellow thing spinning the other way. And of course, this blue shaft is only spinning because of the meshing between the pink gears and that. This is actually perfect. So there we go. So now the outside wooden plate is our quote-unquote ring gear setup. This is actually the wrong size. This needs to be a smaller circle. All right, so there, and there. I guess we can do like the intermediate 4 points. But I don't think that's going to be enough gear teeth. I mean, that's 8 gear teeth, technically. Could try it, but I don't think... Okay, hold on. It's just trying to walk a little bit. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be enough. It might have too much spacing between the gears. We might have to extend these gears out. Let's see what happens if we just rotate the starting inside shaft. Yeah, we gotta... See, they're just skipping. The gear teeth are skipping. Okay, let's make these out of actual, like, fat gears instead of the curved pieces. I was hoping that I could do it with the curved pieces. They usually just mesh nicer. But I think there's gonna need to be this full size, and hopefully we won't get any jam ups. Perfect. So now, theoretically, if we put a controller down and an engine, we should be able to do some cool things with this. And just by changing what stuff is powered. So if we put a controller locking the outer gear in place, so that locks the ring gear. Let's paint the ring gear. So if we have our ring gear locked, which we do, and we provide an input to the initial input shaft, let's put a switch on this thing, right? And we power this up. So our input shaft is rotating forward. It's rotating. Oh, our input shaft is stuck. Okay, yeah, we got a jam situation here. That's kind of what I figured was gonna happen. All right, there we go. We just gotta slow it down a little bit. So our input shaft is rotating forward clockwise at a constant speed, and the output shaft is also rotating forward clockwise, not at the same constant speed. But I think this works. To be honest, I kind of want to put double the carriers. I kind of want to put 4 planets. It might get a little messy, but I think it's going to work. So let's just save this really quick. And I think if we have 4 planets, it might make it mesh a little bit better, because you can see it kind of gets these dead points. Oh, it's just jammed up. Sometimes it just jams. Let's go revert. Come on. Come on. Okay, yeah, this might have to actually make it a little bit different. All right, I think once we've got this, these aren't going to mesh well. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to put the curved pieces on the outside, and we'll put the straight pieces on the inside one, and maybe the whole thing will mesh better. I think we also need more gear teeth around the ring gear on the outside, but let's try this first and see what happens. This is, it's really cool to make this in Scrap Mechanic. I really wish there was a mod that had like lots of big gear teeth. You know, obviously we don't really have that. We only have, you know, a few small gears, which is obviously great for doing most of the things. The problem here, of course, being the big ring gear is really, really complicated. All right, I fixed it up. We've got 4 planets. Spawn's kind of freaked out. Deploys. Let's see what happens. It almost needs like an intermittent gear spot, like on the ring gear here. It almost needs like a tooth here. Oh, see, it gets to a jam point there. When that one, it needs like a tooth right in between. Oh wait, hold on. What if we do, wait, see, if we do it there, it's too far away. You need like I need like a tooth in between these 2 teeth. I almost need to do like a controller powered bearing. But anyway, let's see what happens. So that rotates forward. It kind of does what it's supposed to do. It's got that dead spot, and then it clams up completely. Yeah, as soon as this one lines up with that, we need like a tooth right there. All right, I changed the peg positions. It seems a little bit better, like this, having them on the slope there. You kind of can see there's a little bit of a dead spot, but if we turn this to the forward direction, and of course we keep our ring gear stationary, then you can see we actually will rotate both shafts in the same direction. Input drives the output. Let's just put a marker on this real quick like that. Let's put a marker on this one as well. All right, so if we turn it on, we've got 2 markers now to mark the gearing, and I think if you ignore the fact that it skips a little bit, it's a 1-to-4 gear ratio. I don't remember the math on this. I thought it was a 1-to-1, but it's like if every time the one gear rotates once, each one of these gears on the outside would rotate once as well, but they're only going to move 1/4 of the distance around this track because of the number of gear teeth around the outside, right? So this is like a 12 gear on the outside, and it's 4 on the inside, so it's 1-to-3. Is that right? So once, twice, and then 3 times around on the back one gives us, it should, if it didn't skip at all, it should be a 1-to-3, right? Because of the ratio. So you're basically having this gear and this gear. It causes these gears to walk on the outside of the ring, which in turn spins it around, and it's creating a gear reduction, basically. If we had 16 on the outside, it would be a 1-to-4, I believe. Because it's the ratio of the sun gear to the planet gear, and then the planet gear to the outside ring gear. But of course, because the sun and the planets are the same in this case, they're just a 1-to-1, but the outside is a 1-to-3. I think that's right. I'm pretty sure it's 1-to-3. It seems like it's doing 1-to-3, without the skips, of course, because, you know, scrap mechanic physics is not perfect. So that's the first step. Now the second step is we can do some cool stuff. So that's with basically the... Oh, it's kind of doing it now. So that's with the sun gear, the ring gear not moving, the ring gear held stationary by this controller, right? You just get a straight gear reduction, which you could use in a car transmission, no problem. And then if we... This is going to be kind of weird, but if we then take another engine, I guess we could use the same engine, but let's take a different one just so we can do it slower. And we hook this up to the ring gear, right? Like that. But we put it in the opposite direction of the drive input. There we go. Now this craziness happens. And now we're reducing the gear speed even more. The ratio is like super low. Look at how low that is. Because they have to walk, but they're also walking back. So it's a 1-to-3 reduction when they walk, but then it's also moving in the opposite. That's so cool. Okay, hold on. If we spin this fast enough, it should go in reverse. Which it does. That's ridiculous. Oh, that's the coolest thing. So you can see we have one shaft rotating forward and the other one going in reverse. I mean, it skips. I wish I could get rid of the gear skips. I can't put intermittent teeth. I tried and it just doesn't work. But look at that. That is the coolest mechanism. Oh man, that's so neat. So there you go. You have a car transmission going in reverse now. And of course, we can just turn this off. And now it goes forward. This is so cool. So you could literally have a single transmission whereby engaging and disengaging this outside gear, you know, we could, honestly, what's the speed this is at? That's at 5 or whatever, so let's put this to the same speed. So if we take that outside gear and move at the same speed as the input shaft, the input shaft stops moving? What? Oh, because I have the input shaft mounted on the ring gear. Yeah, no, that's, hold on, I'm rotating the wrong one. I need to rotate this one at the back. There we go. There we go, that's perfect. Yeah, my bad. No, that was, so now look, we turn this off, the input shaft is moving, rotates us forward at a 1-to-3 gear reduction. We turn that on. Now we have reverse at the same 1-to-3 gear reduction. But the speed of these two are the same, just in opposite directions, which means you could have one drive input with just a different gear that flicks it from that direction to this ring gear, and that spins the ring gear in the opposite direction, and that makes this, you know, a transmission. This is so cool. I understand why they would want to use this in an automatic car transmission. Obviously, this is a very crude example. In real life, they're so much better, but this is exactly what I was hoping would happen. Depending on what we do with that outer gear determines what happens with the inner gear. If we have the outer gear slow, we can change the speed of the inner gear, right? But it's still moving. You can see it's just, you know, creeping forward. Or if we have that outer gear fast, you know, we can have it going in reverse. That's so neat. It's a transmission without any sort of actual, like, moving parts. You know, I mean, there's like the gears themselves move, but you don't have to mesh gears in and out, which is why you'd want to use this in an automatic of a car. You could just engage or disengage this outer ring gear using a clutch, and if you have that clutch disengage the outer ring gear stops moving, and you end up with this forward motion. And if you have it engaged, that outer ring gear, you can have it move forward, you can have it move reverse, depends on how fast it actually moves at based on its own input. That's so cool. Well, this is definitely a neat experiment. I don't know what I would ever do with this. We could, I guess, put it in a car. It is a little skippy, though. Obviously, it's got some skips, but I can't believe it actually works kind of in vanilla. That's so cool. What a neat thing. Well, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you have any other cool engineering type builds you want to see. You know, I do enjoy these kinds of projects. It's been a while since I've done a cool engineering type project in Scrap Mechanic, but I kind of miss it, to be honest. There's some really cool stuff you can do, and for me, it's all about just having, you know, a cool idea of something to try. But I'd rather do little small projects like this than, or like, you know, the differential setup, stuff like that. Maybe I'll get back and make a gear car at some point. But of course, I need a bunch of ring gears that were, you know, with good meshing. If we could get ring gears with good meshing, maybe if we make this really, really big, then it would work out a lot better. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you have any other cool engineering projects you'd like me to try, make sure, of course, you leave a comment and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll see y'all next time. I can't believe this works. It's so good. Definitely jams up a little bit, but that's so cool.